The Utah Hockey Club has won 3 consecutive games and 4 of its last 5. Are you on the playoff train? And the answer from a lot of people is absolutely. Lots of likes, lots of hearts, lots of thumbs up, and lots of gifts. Jeremy sends a Thomas the Tank Engine gift. Thank you. Thank you for that. I forget the name of the character from Scrubs, but he's screaming, "All aboard!" and putting on a conductor's hat. So they're coming with the artwork, PK. Stonegate for me. Absolutely yes. Go UHC! Exclamation points abound.
United Healthcare?
Yeah, that's what it is. United Healthcare. Coach Carter, at Coach Carter Wick. I'm the damn conductor! Exclamation point! LFG! Exclamation point! Yeah, people are hyped up. I think from a math perspective, it's still against them, but from a momentum perspective, it feels totally doable. They've won 3 in a row. They're 3-1 since the break for the Four Nations face-off. Then across the break, though, they've won 6 of the last 8. They're young guys. You hope they're improving, and Bear says the baby is growing. So momentum, baby, they got it on their side. Don't worry yourself about a bunch of math with 22 games to go. Ride the momentum.
And I would say that they talked about getting a couple of veteran defensive players back, and they have. And so they've set us up for this. And to their credit, to this point, they've backed it up by what they were saying, getting Jersey Marino back and getting him on the ice and doing all that stuff.
Yep.
And they talked about it. And I do give them credit in that they would talk about injuries, but they wouldn't talk about like, oh, my gosh, we're besieged by injury. Woe is us. We're the only team in the league. No, they always followed it up with everybody's got them. You have to deal with it. And everybody, to an extent, does have them. It's just a question of how much does it hurt your team when you have them. If you get a player hurt where you're particularly stronger at that position, you can withstand it. And then, since they had some young guys and then they had some veteran dudes, if the veteran dudes get hurt, well, you know, the young guys are growing, but they're not quite there yet. So I get that line of thinking. So maybe that hurt them, but that's all in the past now. That's the essence of a long season, and these professionals play a very long season, obviously. So with that in mind, you know, there's plenty of time, and they've basically set the goal as the playoff. They weren't talking about, you know, getting to whatever round or having home ice and all this. So they're just talking about getting to the playoff, and that's been the stated goal in the redevelopment and the rebuild that they've been going through for a few years now. And now you're right there, and continue to win. And you just hear it. You can hear it in the way that they talk. It's harder for me as a body language guy to gauge body language in the sport of hockey the way I can other sports. You know what I mean?
I do.
It just, yeah.
It's a nature
they're coming
of
off the ice. They're coming on the ice. You don't even realize it. No, he's off. He's on. That type of thing. But go ahead.
It's the nature of skating versus running too. There's just something different about that. Like the posture you have to have when you run in a football game or when you run in a basketball game. We're used to seeing that, and we know. We're not used to watching the NHL night in and night out. I think people who are probably have a better read on that. And also, it's like football. You know, a lot of sports, in baseball and basketball, like you see a guy's face, you see his eyes, and the eyes are telling. And sometimes you look at people's eyes and you think, yeah, I'm pretty sure Kobe's about to hit a 3 right here. That's probably going to happen. And he does. Or you see him at the free throw line, and then you can always see their eyes. And we've all watched a guy shoot free throws and thought, oh, this guy's not going to make these free throws. You can see it in his eyes. And in the sports where you got a helmet and a visor over and you can't see, you don't have the same feel. You know, and we'll probably feel different when they've been here 5 years and we've been watching the NHL for 5 years. But I think we do get a little bit of a feel even more than we did at the start of the year. And I think the momentum and that feel are what people are talking about right now. And the numbers say historically you need to get to the mid-90s to get in. But it doesn't work that way every year. 100 points will get you in. Mid-90s usually gets you in. But right now, we don't have 3 teams who are battling for the last berth, and really it's 4 teams. We're not talking about St. Louis because they're behind Utah, but they're only 1 point back. These 4 teams playing for the last spot are right now sitting on pace for 90 points. So the question is, who does get hot, and do you have to get to 92, 94, 96? I mean, the number moves every year. 95 is a nice round number to throw out and say that's where you usually have to be. And to do that, they got to go 15, 6, and 1. We had a listener do the math for us this morning. They've already figured it out. I think they put the number at 94 and said 15 wins, 6 losses, and then 1 overtime loss, or that would get them there. Yeah, if that turns out to be the numbers. Here's the other thing is we haven't been following the league all this time. I mean, do you want to bet on what any of these 3 teams around them are going to do?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I don't have any feel at all for Vancouver, Calgary, and St. Louis and who's likely to perform at a high level down the stretch. Now, we'll have Mike Fulton on Tuesday, and we can ask him that. And, he'll have a little better idea, but it's sports. Nobody really knows. Puck's going 95 miles an hour. Do you tip it and redirect it or not?
The way they're talking now, this is getting me excited. They're speaking the game. They're talking it. They believe it. All those types of things that you need to have that are across the board, universal in all sports. And they're speaking it into existence because they're playing it into existence. So when you got all that stuff going on, that could all change in a hurry. Because there is a fickle nature of this sport, too, of the puck ricocheting this way or that way. And think about it last night and watching the game, so I didn't really see any flukes. I just saw dominance. And, they don't need to sustain it to that level. But I saw dominance. I saw guys doing what they're supposed to do, what they're trained to do, what their roles are on this team. And that's what got me excited that, okay, literally right now, I don't think it's a stretch to say this team is playing its best that it has all season. And how long can they sustain it? Can they go? You go another 2-3 weeks. Well, geez, then obviously at that point there's only another 2-3 weeks to go, and you are right there. And I'm expecting it to be there. And then if it doesn't, the good thing is, particularly for the younger fellas, is they've played in a bunch of important games. Last year it was like a swan song. It was like one big retirement party. You were leaving. It was over. You were just playing out the string until somebody retires. You know what I mean? And the fans I know some people who are fans there, and they've told me that the feeling in they played at the ASU campus. They put up an arena in the old parking lot, the Mullet Arena, and it wasn't real the way it'll be real down the stretch here.
I think to your point on dominance, the last couple of games they outshot Vancouver. They doubled them up like 32-16. They outshot Chicago 37-22. They're creating more opportunities. They're creating more chances. There is a fickle nature to the sport, and that doesn't guarantee anything, but you want the odds on your side. And they're playing in the other guy's end, and they're creating more opportunities, so it's paying off.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the other night. I said it would be like a 3-2 win in a baseball game in which you had 13 hits.
Yeah.
Normally when you get 13 hits, you get more runs. Well, they didn't get that, but they still won the game. That's what matters, right? In the end, the stats are this or that, but the final score is the thing that matters the most. And then sure enough, after they won the game, then last night they had both. They dominated.
Yep.
And there was a whole bunch of it was cool. It was really cool to watch.
We got to go.
It's fun.
We got to go with David Locke and Pablo Mastroni coming up. I'll just say that right now, if I had to bet, I would bet they miss, and I'm just following Bill Armstrong because he's told us a bunch of stuff in advance. And like Pablo Mastroni, he's getting a bit of a track record here where he's starting to call his shots, so you might as well believe him when he speaks, right? And little Kyle Whittinghamish, for another example. And maybe A-Rod's fallen into that category as well. And so he said it's a year too early. Now, maybe they'll outstrip his expectations, and it does matter what the teams around you do. And he's only spoken about his club. He's not talking about other people's teams. But he wanted them to play meaningful games. Here we are in the last quarter of the season now, and these games are meaningful. And so we'll see if they outstrip his expectations. I expect they come close and come up a little short, but we'll see how that plays out. David Locke next. The trade deadline scrambling the NBA playoff picture. That and Kessler's continued improvement next. Stay with us.